gone.
Everyone who can, please rise and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, our land acknowledgement. The Tlingit people have been indigenous to this land for over 10,000 years. Kudomchish to the Tlingit people for their stewardship of this land since time immemorial today. Let's see. Jeff, are you waving at me?
No, sir, that's the baby.
Okay, okay. Okay, visiting Rotarians. I don't think we have any. Guest or Rotarians will be announced in a bit. Rotary announcements. Okay, next week, District Governor's visit. And if you got my email today, you know that we're going to have a meet and greet at our house, Vicki and my house, on Monday, the 27th at 5:30. And it's going to be a potluck. So if you can come, let me know. If you can't come, let me know. If you can bring something, let me know. And I'm going to send around the sign up.
Yeah, Phoebe wants to come.
Definitely. Okay, Sharon, do you want to say something about pumpkin carving?
Sure. So this Saturday, the 25th, at 1 o'clock at the Pioneer Home, we're going to do our pumpkin carving with the residents of the Pioneer Home. So I went and bought 7 pumpkins that we're going to bring to get carved. So anybody who's there and wants to carve one can carve one. If you have anybody you want to bring with you, this is bring whoever you want. You can, if you have grandkids or kids, you can bring them to carve pumpkins. You can bring your own pumpkin and then carve it, take it with you, so you don't have to make a mess at your house. And otherwise, just show up to help us carve the pumpkins. And it takes about an hour, maybe. It's a pretty quick event, and the residents seem to really like it.
How about 4-year-olds?
4-year-olds present.
Okay, for a sharp knife.
We help the young ones. Maybe we don't give them the sharp knives, but, you know, that's up to you.
And I saw the pumpkins that Sharon picked up over the weekend, and she's got quite a good load of pumpkins. So that'll be fun.
1:30? 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, Pioneer
We'll
Home.
send out an email. Somebody will send out an email. If my email address comes, I will do it. If not, then
Yeah, we're having email issues. Okay, I sent out a notice. There's an informational meeting for anybody who wants to volunteer for Whale Fest. That's tonight at the Sitka Science Center, 5:30. That's just for people who wanted to volunteer, follow up from last week when we were asked for help. Okay, non-Rotary announcements.
Jeff, I'll do a couple. One, the people who do wearable art are gonna do wearable art again. If anybody's interested, or those people that are interested, they have to register by sometime in December, which I forget. And then the thing will be November 7th, or February 7th is the wearable art show. And then the other one is, you already mentioned, Whale Fest is this November 7th, and so the monthly grind could use a couple of extra hands.
And don't forget your library thing, right? This week?
Oh, that's right. If you, I don't know where Miss Katie went, but she's on, there she is. We represent the oldest tricks in the book team that has a stellar reputation. And there will be 5 other teams, or 4 other teams that are gonna have to see if they can best us.
You definitely have the best name. You're gonna win the prize for the best name.
Oh, no, there's some really good, better names. I hate to say that. But anyhow, so that's that's this Thursday at the library. So if you have nothing to do,
Yeah.
thank
Okay,
goodness
thank
we
you.
have her.
She's a rear.
She's good.
Okay, let's see. I sent out an email. There's going to be the district is organizing a response to the flooding in western Alaska. Hasn't been organized yet, but I'll let you know what's happening there. But I think we'll want to participate in that. comes. And one of our members, Jenna Eddy, brought in some things and a good idea, and that would be making a collection of things for children to send up north. Would you like to say anything, or she has some?
Well, after reading about the problems with kids in the north, there's lots of kids that not any really neat stuff for them. So I just brought some samples of little things. I'm thinking of little kids, not school kids, but little kids. They're hanging out at home no, they don't have any homes to hang out in actually. And there's lots of books, books in there. So anyway, if we get a bunch of these together and we can maybe talk to Alaska Airlines and calling them up there, then we'll be heroes.
You know, that's a great idea. I think we'd have to think about what we send it to, because so many people are in the, temporary shelters like in Anchorage.
If we got stuff together, Marty could bring it back to the temporary, to the shelter in Anchorage.
Wow,
That would be great. What?
that's a really good idea. Okay, how about, what if,
Well, just
Debbie?
one thing on the paper, which I guess we're gonna be getting a lot of students, or we're open to students at Edgecombe, so there may be students coming to Edgecombe that don't have much in the way of clothing, whatever.
Not this stuff.
Not this stuff, but I'm just thinking for our own local, we're gonna be housing students at Edgecombe that may need some support if people have teenagers and clothing that might be fitting, that's just something to think about that we should be aware of, I think, to help.
That's a great idea too. That would keep it local and we know exactly where we're going. Sharon, that's really a good idea. What if we thought about for the next meeting, and I can let the district governor know about this, but we bring in stuff just like Janet brought in next week. I'll get a big box or tote or something, and we'll see, I'll talk to Marty, see if the district governor can take it back to the shelters in Anchorage.
Great.
What do you think about that, Janet?
Good idea? Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna, well, and I'm sorry, technology just isn't with us today. But I'll send something to Marty, maybe he'll answer. But let's plan on making a collection and consolidating it at our meeting next week. And I'll make sure that that's a good idea, and you can do that, but that's a great idea, Sharon. So we'll collect kids' stuff next week to send on, see what we can get. Okay, great ideas. Okay, any other non-Rotary announcements, or Rotary announcements, or anything you want to say? Okay, I'm going to send around happy dollars. I'm happy to be here in Sitka. I think everything's going to shelter box, isn't it? Are we doing? Okay, so what we've been collecting will go to shelter box. And we talked about could be part of our response to up north too. So anyway, just pass this around. Don't have to say anything. Put in something if you want. Okay. October program chair, Debbie, would you like to introduce our program?
Sure. Here. Real short, we're really happy to have Bill Speedy take time and Megan to talk about updates on the new hospital system that you're in charge of as administrator. I'm looking a little bit about your life and all the years you put into physical therapy around Southeast. Thank you so much for probably working on a lot of people in Sitka over the years. But then I also learned that if we ever need somebody to drive a ferry boat, that you've got a license to drive these big vessels, which is kind of a cool thing, and scuba diving and all these other things that you do. Thank you for being here, and Megan, I'm so happy that you're here to talk about vaccines and vaccination programs and what's going on with that. Awesome. Thanks for taking time to come.
Thank you, Debbie. I'm gonna let Megan Johnson start us off. Megan has been in the search for about 14 years, and she is currently in a new role as actually probably not brand new, but not all that long. She is the consortium, the chief nurse for the consortium responsible for the outpatient nursing department. And so as we continue to grow and develop our programs across Southeast Alaska, we continue to develop our own leadership structure. And so this is a great position for Megan. She works with primary care nursing and specialty care nursing within her role. When Debbie asked me to come and speak and suggested that perhaps vaccines would be a topic you would be interested in, it was an easy choice to ask Megan to come talk to us, because in every meeting that I sit in on and talk about vaccines, she's usually sitting at the front of the room. So Megan, tell us about vaccines.
Thank you. Well, so I'm Megan Johnson. I've been a nurse for over 20 years. It's pretty crazy. My husband and I actually moved to Sitka in 2011, and that's when I started working for Search. My background is in pediatrics and labor and delivery. I did that for a long time. And then transitioned to the primary care clinics. I have a master's in public health, so I know a little bit about vaccines. But I think I'd start with a caveat that I don't know everything about vaccines, and I might not be able to answer some of your questions today. All of the guidance that we follow at Search and that most healthcare companies follow is from the CDC. Things change quickly in medicine, so I might tell you one thing today that could be different tomorrow or a week from now. So I'd encourage you to all go to the CDC website and just take a look at the schedules, like all the information is there. And those are the guidelines that we follow. So, but I'll do my best to answer any questions today. I didn't prepare a presentation or anything, but I'm happy to try and answer any questions that you might have. We do have, we're in the middle of heading toward flu season, I guess, but we're giving our flu vaccines at Search. So you can walk in to get a flu vaccine, or you can make an appointment. We do have flu clinics every Thursday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And there was one on October 11th. That's passed now. I don't have the updated flyer. I know they're planning a couple more. So it's Sitka Medical Center every Thursday, and then Mount Edgecombe every Tuesday and Thursday. So you can also call and schedule, and usually if you walk in, we can accommodate that as well too. So yes.
Walk in where?
To the primary care clinic. So either urgent care or just which is located in Sitka Medical Clinic, or primary care at the MNC Hospital. Yes. Good question.
And what about Harry Race?
So Harry Race is a separate entity. I would imagine that they offer flu vaccines there, but I don't know what their hours or what their setup is. But usually you can get the flu vaccines from the pharmacy.
Is it everything the same on the flu vaccine, or is it just one type of vaccine that everybody's getting?
Overall, yes. There are a couple different brands, but they're relatively the same. There's a couple of variations too, like there's usually one for people that have egg allergies, especially formulated. There's the high dose flu vaccine, which is recommended for people over 65. It's been challenging to get that this year. So there's different variations, but ultimately it's the same thing, if that makes sense. Good question. Yes.
I guess there's a kind of a general concern that vaccines might not be available as they have been.
Yeah.
COVID, flu, the different measles, pertussins, the combinations. What do you see happening there?
I can't speak to availability. I don't know too much about manufacturing. I know it definitely is political. We have had some difficulty getting the flu and COVID vaccine. It's been a little bit later that it's been available to us, but we've been able to get all of the vaccines. It's been pretty normal for us so far, so I don't know what the future will hold.
Have the slowdowns been from a result of political problems or just manufacturing?
Was some delays. It took the committee that determines the flu vaccine, they met a little bit later. There was a little bit of a delay there. I think there are multiple factors that probably would go into that, but I can't speak well to that, so I'm sorry. That's what I can't provide a very good answer for.
Well, it's good that you're maintaining those programs.
Yeah, we have been able
Rather
to.
get a jab than get sick.
Yeah, we have been able to maintain our current supply.
Good news.
It is challenging to get vaccines. So we order them privately, and then we also get them from the state. So they're usually shipped overnight, and then occasionally whether there's delays with shipping, so sometimes we'll be short. But the turnaround for ordering vaccines is usually pretty quick. So
Good to hear.
yeah, and it has been. So hopefully it will continue that way. Yes.
What vaccines would you recommend for your grandmother?
For my grandmother, that's a good question. So I brought the child and adult immunization schedule. I think for my grandmother, I definitely recommend that she gets a flu vaccine. There's also the RSV vaccine, depending on where my grandmother is at, like that would play a factor as well. There's also the pneumonia.
Oh, she isn't here.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So flu, yeah?
Influenza.
Influenza.
That's what I got, yeah.
Yeah, the COVID vaccine, it depends on where you're at, but the pneumonia vaccine, yeah, and then if, the shingles vaccine. So, but there are several, so, and again, you can check the CDC. A lot of it depends on like pre-existing conditions and where you're at health-wise.
Well, we're talking about out here.
Here, yeah.
So do your recommendations change any for people that are here or that aren't here
No.
for that matter?
No, it's pretty standard. Yeah. Yes.
Just, is there any research on whether you're better off having the vaccines at certain times, or whether it's okay to, get COVID in the left and flu in the right, and
Yeah.
RSV in your heel or something?
Yeah, so most of the data shows that it's okay to get shot vaccines at the same time. So for children, we'll administer like multiple vaccines at the same time. We usually do it in different sites, and that's documented so that if you do have a localized reaction, we can look at that. But vaccines are safe to give, like multiple vaccines at one. Yeah.
I didn't go for it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Someone who is near to my heart, but not a medical person, had some thoughts about the pneumonia vaccine. Apparently there are different ones, something 13, some
Yeah.
different numbers. For an old fart like me, 70s, he's really old. Do you have a recommendation, or can you tell us what the differences are between the different numbered pneumonia vaccines?
Yeah, so there's the Pneumovax 13 and then the Pneumovax 23. I know they're a little bit different formulation, but they both protect you against pneumonia. The 13 we use in younger populations, and I believe in children. For adults, they recommend that you get one of each of those. I'd have to look at the schedule here. But as far as the minute difference between the two vaccines, I'm not sure. It's vaccine information sheets. Those are available on the CDC website, and that would outline the difference between each of those. So I'd recommend looking, and we also have those available at Search. We could dive into that. Yeah.
Bottom line is they have different numbers of antigens in the different vaccines.
Okay. Yeah.
13 versus 23, different kinds of flu antigens.
All right, great. See, we all share information. Yeah.
What's RSV or whatever that one?
That's the vaccine for the respiratory syncytial virus. So that's available for, like, it's recommended for infants that are born prematurely or that might be susceptible to that infection. It's also recommended for elderly or people over 65, and we have that available at Mission
Is
Hospital.
that chronological age or maturation age?
Sorry?
Either way, dude.
In other words, you're 12.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
She said far age.
yeah.
Jeff?
Yes, sir.
No, Jeff just blew my frame of thought. Let's see, I was gonna say, if you have current sheets of recommendations for people of our age or whatever, I would be glad to scan those and send them out to the
Sure.
club.
Yeah.
So
Hand it to you right now.
I guess I could look online too.
Yeah,
Oh.
yep, they're available online.
Whoa, there's a lot of stuff here.
Yeah, a lot of information.
Okay. I'll send it out.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
The last question would be timing. If you know you're gonna be doing a lot of travel,
Say in January and February, are you better off holding off and getting your vaccine in November, instead of September and?
I would,
How
I
long
guess,
it lasts?
it depends on which vaccine that you're getting. So, and what your exposure will be. Yeah, it really varies by vaccine. So I would say the flu vaccine, like it, you could take a couple different stances on that, but definitely you want to get it a couple weeks before your trip, so it has time to, for the immunity to occur.
What about specific vaccines for special areas? Like I traveled once to India, Pakistan, Nepal, I got loaded up with all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Can those be done here?
Yes. So I think the yellow fever is probably a good example. That's not one that's given commonly, but it is recommended for certain, travel to certain areas. And we can order that vaccine, so we can definitely order pretty much anything. It just might take a little bit for it to get here. If you were traveling to like Seattle to, like, we could give you like a prescription, so you could get it like en route, or, but yeah, it takes a little bit of time, but we can definitely do that.
So there aren't special diseases you have to worry about in Seattle?
I was just gonna say, what immunizations do we need to go to Seattle?
Oh, well, they have more like readily available, so like they actually, so like I guess a slightly more metropolitan area than Sitka, they actually stock those vaccines, so you wouldn't have to, we've had people do that, like when they're traveling, they're stopping in Seattle, just get, schedule an appointment at a clinic to get.
How much lead time do you need here to get in something exotic?
It depends on what it is. I think if you know you need something and you're gonna be traveling somewhere, you can check with the clinic and they can give you that information.
Big one that's got a time factor is yellow fever. And the issue there is, very often you have to have it a certain period of time before you get to the country.
Yeah,
And so how long does it take us to get yellow fever?
we actually stock yellow fever,
Right.
small amounts. So if someone came in and got one the day before, like you might be in trouble, but we usually stock a couple. Those are over at Sitka Rotary. Yeah, you have to have a special provider designation to administer that vaccine, which Dr. Bacchus has. So we're able to give it in the clinic.
Thousands of doses of it. I never had a special certification. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, any other, do you want questions other than vaccine questions, or how do you?
I can turn it over.
No, she wants to hide from all
Sure.
those other questions.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Who should I ask about when the new facility is gonna be opened up?
That would
Me.
be, that's a Bill question. That's a good
Okay.
segue.
And is there gonna be an open house?
Oh, absolutely, of some sort. Well, thank you, Megan. So you know exactly why I brought Megan to talk to you about vaccines, because you would have gotten maybe one question answered about vaccines for me, and that would I just take the one they tell me I have to have to continue to work without a mask on. So thank you, Megan, for coming and helping us with that question. My name is Bill Spivey. I'm a physical therapist by training. My current role at Search is what we have always called the hospital administrator at Search for Mount Edgecombe Hospital. I'm in the middle of a bit of a campaign here at MIMSI in Sitka to change our philosophy a bit about how we consider the building that we're in fact, the building we're going to be in, and to think of it more as a medical complex or medical center rather than a hospital, because in fact, the services provided by Search in that building are going to be so many more than what we will provide in a 25-bed critical access hospital, which we also will have in that building and that we have now. So as we prepare for that move across the street, which while it's a geographical move of only a few hundred feet, it's a mental shift for us in how we, at least how I would like us to approach our access for the community of Sitka and all those folks that come here to see us. So today I wanted to come and spend a few minutes and take the opportunity to answer any questions you had about the new medical facility. Debbie talked a little bit about my history. I'm one of those people that, we said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I think pretty much like Jeff, decided growing up was overrated and decided not to do that for a very long time. So I have a couple of degrees in some very different things. I've done a bunch of stuff during my lifetime. In fact, working at Sitka Community Hospital for a number of years, where I retired in 2010 because I was tired of working and started a charter business in the Caribbean where I teach people to sail and scuba dive. And I retired from that when I came back up to Sitka to live with my partner, Angela McGraw, who's a Sitka girl, and it was time for her kids to start getting married and having grandkids, and I lost the battle. Cruising the Caribbean compared to birthdays with grandchildren seemed not to be the right fit. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited by the fact that Search allowed me during the first 5 years of my time at Search as the system director of rehabilitation, and rehabilitation meaning physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech language pathology, to build clinics. So I've built clinics in Haines and Juneau, and worked with the clinic expansion in Wrangell and down on Prince of Wales. And so my first few years of the organization was doing that. And for the last year and a bit, I've been the administrator for Mount Edgecombe Medical Center. And the goal there over the last year has been 3 major projects. One was the conversion from a surveying body called the Joint Commission on Accreditation of Hospitals, which now we just call Joint Commission. We switched from Joint Commission to something called D&B, which I make no effort to pronounce because it's German and I always get it wrong. We were actually expecting surveyors today, and they didn't show up. It's always intended to be a surprise. We've been in the survey window since October 1, and so typically D&B arrives on a Tuesday. I think for whatever reason they choose not to fly on the weekend, and so we expect them next Tuesday, where they will go through the facility here and actually facilities across the consortium everywhere except Wrangell, which has its own survey, which they had this summer. And they'll be looking at any number of different things from life safety to clinical procedures. We had our first, it's a 3-year process with D&B. We had our first survey with them last year in November, and we did very well. And we expect to do at least as well or better this year as they come through for the second of 3. We also decided to take on another big project. We have converted from the electronic medical record that is called Cerner, which is the EMR that's used across the Alaskan Native tribal organizations, and we moved away from Cerner to something called Meditech, which I hope that you're all familiar with and that you're not hearing this for the first time, because one of the things that is a big goal for FY26, which just started a few weeks ago, is to increase access for patients across the consortium to their provider, to the healthcare EMR through your phones as access to the portal. And so the portal that existed for Cerner, while it is still available to you, any records that are currently being created within the EMR are now showing up in the Meditech portal. So you're going to want to get that and get used to using it, because it's going to give you all kinds of additional flexibility that the Cerner portal did not have, including scheduling appointments with your primary care physician, looking at records, looking at billing information. We're very excited about the opportunities that EMR is going to give us. And because those two projects didn't seem like enough to keep us busy, we decided while we were at it, we'd just build a new medical facility. So concurrently to the first two, we started our work on construction for Mount Edgecombe Medical Center, which is now reaching, we get closer and closer and closer all the time to first patient day. First patient day will be sometime in the spring of FY26. We don't have a firm date because we continue to be at the mercy of construction challenges that go with any project of this size. I'm fortunate as the administrator, I get to take groups over every couple of weeks and do tours. And I can tell you that if you've been across, how many of you have been across and have looked at the building, even from your car, and have seen the distance? It's basically two buildings attached by an adjoining walkway, which is on the second floor of the space. The one on the, what you might call the north side, if you're in town looking across the water, it's on the right-hand side. We call that Building A, and the building closest to the existing medical center, we call that Building B. Building A is, for all intents and purposes, just about ready to move in. It is, the halls are, everything is constructed, the casework is in. We're slowly but surely now beginning to invite vendors to come and start moving in different things. And so Building A is looking good. Building B is where our current focus is right now, and that's the side where you will find surgery, the emergency department, the dental department, and a number of others, and that one now is the focus of construction. Pretty exciting to see that coming along. And as I say, for me, one of the big steps was looking out the window and seeing the paving completed and the parking lot striped, and actually see, wow, there's the space. Any questions I can answer? Yeah, Ed.
What's going to happen to the old building?
Yeah, they're going to do something with that.
You're going to use it?
For those of you that are familiar with Search, Search is administered by a board of directors from the different communities that we serve across the consortium, and that's a board level decision of what is going to happen to the old hospital, and I don't know what the decision will be. I know that I hear all sorts of ideas of what it could be, but at this point, that's still in the hands of the board, who are meeting this week. In fact, they've started their meetings tomorrow. So it's a very popular question. Lots of folks are hoping it will be used for various and sundry things, but she was built back in the 40s, and so you can just imagine what we've done an amazing job of keeping that hospital up and open, but there's not frankly, a week that goes by that in my safety huddle in the morning, I don't hear one more thing that is challenged. But that facilities department and our biomed department does an amazing job of keeping that place up and running safely. Yeah.
How much asbestos is there in the old
I have
building?
no idea. It's a great question.
There's a
I
lot
asked
of
the
it.
asbestos question, and I know that I know that there's got to be some, but I actually have never had an answer to that. The thing I learned that I didn't know, and some of you may know this, I took a tour with a group of people from the IHS here a few months ago when they came through, and we went down into the purchasing department, all the way down in the basement. In the basement, in the purchasing department, there's a rock. There is a giant rock that's part of the bedrock that building was built on, that they couldn't figure out how to get the rock out of there. So it's right there in the middle of the warehouse, sealed off, which I was pretty impressed by. Yes.
What about Juno? Every time I call search, I get Juno, and I'm wondering how does Juno play into our project?
When you call, if your phone is not snapped up first ring, or I don't know, second ring, I don't really know how many rings it takes, by someone sitting at a desk in Sitka who's probably talking to a patient that's right in front of them, then your call gets transferred to what's called the call center, which is a group of folks who work in the corporate offices in Juneau, which if you've been to Juneau and you know your way around Juneau, once upon a time it was the Empire Building where the newspaper was, and now that entire building is search offices, and the call center is housed there. And that group of people receives training to help you find your way to the people you're trying to find. And we hear a lot of, we hear complaints about the call center on a regular basis, which I don't think is unusual, partly because, you know, for all the years I've been in Sitka, when I call, I want to speak to, I'm embarrassed not to forget her name. She worked for years with us at Sitka Community. Now she's down in the specialty clinic. You want to talk to the person whose voice you've always heard, and you've always got them. Every time you call to talk to a provider, you get someone that doesn't know you, they don't know. And frankly, they probably haven't been to Sitka in some instances, and that's a challenge. And that's something that we need to do better. But that's the answer to your question, is that the call is routed to the call center and working with a group of people who are trying to get you to the right person as quickly as they can. And we need to keep getting better at that. Debbie?
I'm just curious, when you look at the new building, what are the add-ons? Like what have we put in there that we didn't have before
Yeah,
in terms
another
of
great
number
question.
of beds versus, and also maybe, do we have new clinics in there or new services that we didn't have in the old building?
So in the process of applying for the joint venture, which is how this hospital was built in Sitka, was a joint venture between Search and Indian Health Service, there was a coming together to answer the question of how do we build a facility that will duplicate the services you currently provide. And in order to do that, lots of back and forth discussion about how many employees, how many services, how many rooms, et cetera, et cetera. So the answer to your question is that two of the obvious things that are moving into the new building that exist outside now are the behavioral health outpatient department. So if you know where behavioral health is currently done, that's down the street past the old CHS building, in what I suspect was officer housing. I used to live on an Air Force base in Texas. It sure looks like the housing that the officers had back in the day. And that's where the outpatient services are, with the exception of the opioid treatment center, which is currently with Sitka Medical Center, or the Center for Community Building right next to Sitka Medical Center. That will remain. And Mountainside Rehabilitation Clinic, which is my old clinic, the first one I built for Search when I started working for Search, that is downstairs in Sitka Long-Term Care, which Kay yells at me every time I say the old hospital, because we worked very hard to take that memory out of our minds. That's not the old hospital, that's Sitka Long-Term Care. It's a beautiful facility. It's getting an amazing facelift right now. The open house for that is going to be the second week of November, and that's the long-term care unit here in Sitka. And downstairs in that building is the outpatient physical rehab department. So there's PT, OT, and SLP in that building, and all of that's coming into the new hospital.
Okay. Then what, the long-term care stays at Mountainside?
And it will remain in its current location.
But everything else goes to the new building?
Yep. Yeah. Dr. White?
When you move from the current hospital to the new one, are you gonna take the ghost with you from the 4th floor?
I don't know how we could say no.
I don't know, but I'm wondering what you're gonna do about it.
I've seen the ghost in the attic of the Pioneer Home. Back when I worked in the Pioneer Home, they took me upstairs, and I'm not a superstitious person, but I'm very sure I'm not going back up there again, alone in the dark. Yeah, I've heard that. I haven't seen that. But I certainly heard about it.
and it's supposed to be one on the fourth floor, and I keep hearing rumors about one in the basement.
I hope it, if it's on the fourth floor, I wish they'd do some of my work for me while I'm gone, because my work continues to grow when I get back in the morning. Jeff, or Ed?
Let's see, kind of a follow-up with Debbie's question. Will there be an expansion of services with the new facilities? I mean, when you have things that you're not doing
You
now,
know,
or maybe do more
We're
of some
constantly
things?
working on expansion of service lines, and I think the easiest answer to that question is you will see a huge expansion in space for the specialty clinic services compared to what we have in the existing managed medical center building. We have specialty happening in 3 or 4 places in, at the existing MIMSI. You go up on the first floor, you get off the elevator, you take a left, and you go down the hall, and you see some folks down there. You come in the hospital and you take a right, you go down by orthopedic surgery or ENT. I mean, we've got specialty all over the place in that building, but those services will all be located in one area on the second floor. After trying building B, I'm much less routinely familiar with, but the specialty services in the new building will all be there together. And you'll walk in the door and you'll go into that area, and there'll be a large desk there, and you'll say, hey, I'm here to see audiology. And they'll say, great, have a seat. The audiologist will come get you, or the ENT or orthopedics or one of those. Yeah. So we continue to develop those services as we attract providers. And Megan can probably tell me about the most recent. Who we got coming, I hear dermatology, which is one that we're super excited to finally be able to learn. Cardiology is something we work very hard. We've hired cardiologists in Juneau that will be making trips across to help us here in Sitka as well. There's probably others. Oh, rheumatology, that was a big one. We hired a rheumatologist, which can't imagine how that worked. I think she's worked with us for years and years and years, and now we have her in town back and forth as well. So the expansion of services will most likely be in the area of specialty services. We're still a 25-bed critical access hospital. When you define a critical access hospital, the Medicare rules tell us what that means, and the maximum number of beds is 25. We cannot have more than 25 beds and continue to be a critical access hospital, which gives us all sorts of access to support for funding and billing that you don't have if you go up above 25 beds. The difference is the 22 beds that are going to be on the 3rd floor of the new medical center are all single occupancy and unbelievably beautiful. Large bathroom and shower areas, an area for a sitting area for family with a couch and a chair and room for the patients. Truly impressive. 11 on one side, looking towards the ocean, and 11 on the other side, looking towards town. And I don't know if you get to vote, get to the hospital, which side you want to sleep on, but I know what my side would be.
Is there a pediatric section of that
In the
space?
specialty area. Dr. Vastola and Dr. McNichol and our pediatric providers are all part of specialty.
Beds for children.
Oh, beds not specific. It'll all be one of the 22 as it is now. Yeah. Yes?
Well, strangely enough, I'm particularly interested in your audiology department.
Yeah.
What are your plans for that?
We just hired a full-time audiologist
Woo-hoo.
and 2 part-time. I always look over at Megan and see if she's gonna nod her head and correct me if I say something stupid. But I got to meet the new audiologist last week. She just started, and so we have a new audiologist. They are whittling away at that giant waiting list of
Yes.
waiting to be seen. Yeah. I realize I kind of, you would think it's because I get to wear this fancy badge that says I'm the boss, but the reason I get seen faster than other people is I just say, hey, you get a cancellation, call me, I'll run downstairs. But okay, I did finally get to see the audiologist, and she's wonderful.
When does she start?
She started 2 weeks ago,
She's working full-time now?
full time. Yep.
Well, when I
Sounds like I need to go home and look up Miss Eddie's referral for audiology.
Nope.
I could talk all day. Ed stood up probably to help me say it's time to quit.
No, well, we have people, we have retired people and we have working people, so we have to respect all of them.
Thank you, guys.
And you too.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much. Wait, don't run away. Okay, so, think about what Janet's doing here. And I'll get a hold of the district governor. We'll see if we can't put a tote together for sending up north.
People could start bringing stuff for your next meeting if they have any.
Well, what we could do,
If their grandchildren have outgrown something, then
Sharon had the idea, district governor's coming down from the Anchorage
Right.
area. Maybe we could dump a big box of stuff on them, have them
yeah,
take it back
that'd
for
be
us.
great, that would be great.
Okay. Okay, let's see, sign-up sheet for,
I got it.
for potluck?
Take care of you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, there's nothing else to be good at the club? We're adjourned. That's really exciting stuff.
It's enough to bring a guy
Dermatologist and an audiologist.
I don't know, as far as talking, doing standing.